Let's break down tariffs. They sound complicated, but they impact you directly. Think of a tariff as a tax a country charges on goods coming in from abroad. Why do this? To protect local businesses, raise money, or make a political point? Tariffs make imported goods more expensive, like that new phone or those fancy shoes. The idea is to give local factories a fighting chance, but it's a tricky balancing act. Trade between countries usually means more choices and better prices. Tariffs, though, can mess that up fast. They disrupt the flow, making things more expensive and complicated. So, while trade is generally good, tariffs can throw a wrench in the works. They're not just for politicians to worry about, they hit your wallet too. And, as we'll see, they can cause a lot of chaos. Let's dive in. Flashback a few years. President Trump's administration makes a huge announcement: new tariffs. Not just any tariffs, 50% on steel and aluminum. That's massive. Imagine your coffee costing half again as much. Businesses noticed immediately. For decades, the US lowered tariffs and promoted free trade. This move reversed all that, signaling America first. The world took notice. When the US acts, it's a tidal wave, not a ripple. Trading partners and allies started to worry. What did this mean for global trade? The message was clear. Things were changing, fast. The rest of the world braced for impact, and as you'll see, the reaction was swift. It wasn't just a policy tweak, it was a trade earthquake. The shockwaves were just beginning. Let's see what happened next. So why the giant tariffs? The Trump administration said it was about protecting American jobs, make foreign goods expensive, boost US factories, hire more workers. Another reason, the trade deficit. America was buying more than it sold. Tariffs were supposed to fix that and make America win at trade. National security was also cited. America needed its own steel and aluminum for defense. The idea, don't rely on other countries for critical materials. And there was a sense that other countries weren't playing fair. Tariffs were the equalizer, a way to fight back. The administration promised jobs, security, and fairness. But did it work out that way? That's where things get complicated. Let's see how others responded. How did Canada react? Not well. The news of US tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum hit like a cold wind off the Rockies, sending shockwaves through the country's political and economic circles. The mood in Parliament was tense, and headlines across Canada reflected a sense of disbelief and frustration. Canada, a major US trading partner and neighbor, felt deeply betrayed by the sudden imposition of tariffs. For decades, the two countries had enjoyed a close economic relationship with billions of dollars in goods crossing the border every day. Now that trust was shaken. Instead of backing down, Canada hit back with retaliatory tariffs of their own, targeting a wide range of American products. The message was clear. Canada would not be pushed around. They targeted US goods in key states, smart and strategic. By focusing on products from regions vital to American politics, Canada aimed to put pressure on US lawmakers to reconsider. Prime Minister Trudeau made it clear, these tariffs were unacceptable. He spoke out forcefully, defending Canadian workers and industries, and promising a strong response. Canada stood its ground, using both diplomacy and tough talk. Behind the scenes, Canadian diplomats worked overtime, rallying support from allies and making Canada's case on the world stage, but they didn't stop there. The government quickly began exploring new options to protect the economy and reduce vulnerability. Canada started looking for new trading partners, reaching out to countries in Europe and Asia to diversify its export markets. They pushed for deals with the EU and Asia, reducing reliance on the US. New agreements opened doors for Canadian products from maple syrup to machinery to reach new customers. The message was unmistakable. If America wants to play hardball, Canada will find other friends. The world took notice as Canada expanded its global network. This diversification made Canada more resilient. By spreading its economic ties, Canada could better weather future storms and protect its industries. The episode showed the risks of depending too much on one partner. It was a wake-up call for Canadian businesses and policymakers alike. Canada's response was firm, creative, and surprisingly effective. The country's leaders worked together, innovating and adapting to the new reality. They didn't just take the hit, they adapted. Canadian companies shifted production, found new markets, and turned a challenge into an opportunity for growth. And in the process, they sent a message to the world. Canada is not to be underestimated. When pushed, they push back, with determination and ingenuity. Don't underestimate Canada's ability to defend its interests. The country's resolve became a point of national pride. The trade relationship changed, but Canada found new opportunities. By forging new alliances, they ensured their economy stayed strong. It was a turning point in North American trade, leading to new negotiations and a rethinking of old agreements. And it set the stage for a global reaction. Other countries watched closely, learning from Canada's playbook. The world was watching, and ready to respond. Canada's actions inspired others to stand up for their own interests. Canada's playbook became a model for others. Their mix of resilience, strategy, and diplomacy offered a blueprint for countries facing similar challenges. The trade fight was just getting started. Tensions rose and the world braced for what would come next. Let's see how the rest of the world joined in. The ripple effects of Canada's response would soon be felt far beyond its borders. Canada wasn't alone. Other countries were furious. The announcement of sweeping tariffs sent shockwaves through capitals around the globe. Leaders from every continent voiced their outrage, and the mood at international summits turned icy almost overnight. China, the EU, Mexico, all hit back with their own tariffs on US goods. These countries wasted no time in crafting their responses, determined to show they wouldn't be pushed around. China targeted soybeans and cars. American farmers and automakers suddenly found themselves caught in the crossfire, with billions of dollars at stake. The EU went after Harley-Davidson and bourbon, picking iconic American products to send a message straight to the heart of US industry. It became a global trade war, everyone retaliating. The tit-for-tat measures escalated quickly, with new tariffs announced almost weekly. International relations soured, and uncertainty soared. Markets grew volatile, and investors braced for the worst as leaders exchanged threats. Businesses hate unpredictability. It's like building on quicksand. Companies struggled to plan for the future, unsure which products would be hit next. Trust in global trade eroded fast. Long-standing partnerships began to unravel, and deals that once seemed certain were suddenly at risk. The World Trade Organization, meant to keep things fair, was sidelined. Its authority was openly questioned as countries took matters into their own hands. The US, a key player, was now rewriting the rules. American officials insisted the shakeup was necessary, but critics warned of lasting damage. The global trading system was under massive pressure. Supply chains that spanned continents began to fray, and the world economy teetered on the edge. Allies became rivals, and cooperation gave way to confrontation. Diplomatic ties weakened as countries prioritized their own interests. The old system was shaken to its core. Decades of progress in global trade seemed to unravel in a matter of months. Everyone wondered, could global trade survive this? Experts debated the future, while ordinary people watched anxiously. The fallout was immediate and widespread. Factories closed, jobs were lost, and headlines warned of a new economic era. The world's response made the trade war even messier. Each new move brought more confusion, and the cycle of retaliation seemed endless, and the consequences were felt everywhere. From bustling cities to rural towns, people faced higher prices and growing uncertainty. Let's look at what happened inside the US, where the impact of the trade war hit home in unexpected ways. Inside the US, the tariffs hit hard, sending shockwaves through industries that relied on imported metals. Almost overnight, the cost of doing business changed for thousands of companies. Businesses using steel and aluminum, like car makers and appliance companies, faced soaring costs for the materials they needed to build their products. Many factories struggled to keep up with the new expenses. To stay afloat, these companies passed those costs to consumers, making everyday purchases more expensive for American families. Prices for cars, washing machines, and even simple items like beer cans went up, sometimes by hundreds of dollars. Shoppers felt the pinch every time they visited a store or showroom. It was a hidden tax on everyday life, quietly draining wallets and forcing families to rethink their budgets. While some U.S. steel producers saw a boost in business, many other industries, especially those that used imported metals, struggled to survive the new reality. Companies making car parts or appliances had to cut back production, lay off workers, or even move operations overseas to stay competitive. Jobs were lost in sectors that depended on affordable imported metals, leaving many workers uncertain about their future. The uncertainty made businesses hesitate to invest or hire, as no one knew how long the tariffs would last or what new rules might appear. Planning for the future became nearly impossible with shifting rules and unpredictable costs, making it hard for companies to grow or innovate. Many companies just waited, unsure what would happen next, putting expansion and hiring plans on hold. The economy slowed as a result, with less spending, fewer jobs, and more uncertainty in communities across the country. The tariffs didn't just hurt foreign companies, they hit Americans too, affecting families, workers, and small business owners alike. The promise of more jobs was only partly fulfilled, as gains in some industries were offset by losses in others. For many it meant higher prices, fewer opportunities, and a tougher road ahead as they tried to make ends meet. The impact was real, widespread, and deeply felt across the country, touching nearly every corner of American life. So what did we learn? Canada fought back, diversified, and found new partners. Their strategy paid off, making them more resilient. The US? The promised manufacturing boom didn't really happen. The trade deficit stayed large, and many industries paid the price. Tariffs sparked resistance, not surrender. American consumers faced higher prices and job uncertainty. The lesson: tariffs can backfire, hurting those they're meant to help. Canada's tough stance inspired innovation and new trade deals. Both countries faced challenges, but Canada adapted quickly. Don't put all your eggs or maple syrup in one basket. In the end, tariffs taught everyone a tough lesson about global trade, and Canada showed surprising skill in navigating the storm.